Morning. So here it is. Welcome to Morning Minutes with myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 226, bringing you tomorrow's news. Today,
Yes.
new first home buyer grant has been adjusted and it's big. It will change the game. Christmas has come early for first home buyers. Mr. Novak, what are some of the changes?
Look, first of all, it doesn't just apply to the people that are sitting in that price range. If you think it's not going to affect you in Sydney property, most people thinking that would be wrong, because we get, every time we've had the form of a grant in a lower price range, we've always felt the benefits from it kicking upwards through other price ranges. So watch this series and we'll explain.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and we want to keep it in the 15 minutes. The show where we've always had to sugarcoat it and basically say, even though it doesn't say Northern Beaches, it doesn't really help you, but it really will, because it'll push it up. But not this time. There is actually a benefit that will help majority of purchases on the Northern Beaches, and the big thing is, from before with the grant, what it was, basically the benefit was up to 800,000. The sweet spot was a purchase of 650. Now the benefit is up to $1 million. Now that really helps Northern Beaches. There are a lot of property transactions of great properties between.
And why did the government do it?
Well, they want to. The reason is they really want to stimulate new construction. So you've got the units and you've got the homes. So where it's really helped. So to give you some of the bullet points, that you could buy land, same as the unit. What best price was 650. The land price was 350, up to 350,000. There was no stamp duty. Now that's gone to 400,000, no stamp duty, but there are a benefit up to 500,000. So it will scale down the higher the price is. They haven't announced that scale yet, but that basically means up to $500, you will have a discount on stamp duty. The reason behind that is they want to stimulate that construction industry of people buying homes, building single level homes, building two-story homes. That's the purpose of that one there, which is great. But I'm really excited about the unit one, where this has to be new.
So this ladder or this change, they've left that ladder for existing properties the same. The bracketing for existing properties the same, but they've changed the bracketing for new properties.
Yes. So what I'll put on here, should I open the article or?
Oh, you shall, yes.
Yeah, I'll open the article.
You shall.
Now, okay.
So while you're doing that, it's very interesting, because I think there was a little bit of a hole with the government in building, and I think they thought the building industry could be in a little bit of trouble and potentially fall on its bum. Now, if that happens, it's very simple. What the builders do, they don't build. And if that happens, that they stop building, then it's very simple. What happens is there is a lack of stock in the marketplace. The lack of stock in the marketplace then starts surging property prices. The government doesn't like a surge, and it starts surging rental prices, and affordability doesn't happen. So the whole incentive of doing this is to stimulate the new property market, building accommodation, because a lot of builders have also stopped because population is not growing like it was because of immigration, and also to help. They focus acutely on getting young people into their homes. So they're promoting the fact of good saving, good earning, getting used to a mortgage for young people, a bit like cigarette or alcohol companies getting people to start consuming their product at a young age, and they will keep that pattern for the rest of their life. The government is trying to get young people to consume property at a young age, and they'll keep that pattern the rest of their life, which means they'll have more assets and they'll look after themselves, and the government doesn't have to look after them when they get old.
Well said. So here, I got the article up. You'll see it on Facebook. The New South Wales government will temporarily scrap stamp duty on homes worth less than 800,000. So no more scale. Anything up to 800 will have no stamp duty for first home buyers.
Hi, Cleo.
Around
Yes.
6,000 with around 6,000 buyers set to receive the benefit, Premier Gladys said on Monday. The scheme is available to first home buyers and build on the 10,000 first home grant, which is accessible for those purchasing a home worth less than 600,000, or for those building a home worth less than 750 or less. So that's great. So you're going to get the $10,000 grant as well. The stamp duty concession sees the threshold for stamp duty increased from 650 to 800 for homes worth between 800 to $1 million. The concession gradually phases out. Gladys said, told Sydney Morning Herald.
Good old God bless Gladys. She's
Yeah.
doing a fine old job. So, okay, a myth that everyone's got to get used to is for everyone to start crossing their arms and saying, boo-hoo, that doesn't suit me. You're probably wrong. Because even though they're stimulating this sector of the market, when you stimulate this sector of the market, it often kicks up through other price ranges as well. So when there's been, what have we seen, Michael, when that's happened previously?
Yeah, so then what you see, the prices for, say, the 800 to $1 million range will go really strong, and probably make the prices go up because there's a lot more now people looking at it. We saw it a lot with any properties that were priced around 650. The competition was crazy, and inevitably you end up getting 670, 680, 700 for it because there were so many buyers wanting to get the maximum potential, but it drove up your 750 purchase. So now what's really exciting, this will help drive up properties from 950, $1 million and 50 to 1.1 and probably 1.2, because a lot of buyers who wanted to spend 900 to $1 million, say a downsizer, maybe like there's a lot of competition here. I'm going to start looking at properties from $1 million to 1.2 because those first homeowners won't be buying over $1 million. So you're actually going to get more competition there. And you know where it's, then you're going to see that push into your entry-level homes because that competition, because entry-level homes on the Northern Beaches start at 1.2. So you're going to see a lot of people, a lot of activity from units from 900 to 1.2, and then people may say, "Well, I'm just going to go get a house. It's $100,000 extra. For me, it's better value, and long term, I'm going to do that." So then you're actually going to see some more activity for entry level homes from 1.2 to 1.5, in my view.
So when you start seeing rallying in that price range, it then starts pushing up into the next price range, and we will see rallying. Now, something that I just thought about as well was I reckon the new property market's been severely blown up and damaged because of the quality of building in the industry. And I think the government's got wind of those dramatic figures. I reckon that since that, what was that building called?
Opal Towers and Mascot.
Yeah, I think since Opal Towers, that market, the new property market, has shit itself, and I think now the result, 3 months, 6 months, COVID, all that stuff coming through, I think it's really put a big hole in that building industry, and this was a very, very clever move for the government to stimulate the building industry, to stimulate affordability, and also to stimulate getting people into young people into nice properties.
Well said, because unfortunately there's just so much bad stigma on new builds at the moment.
Massive. But I know this is not what it's about, but you got to remember, guys, the pure numbers on this. It's a little bit like when you hear of a murder in a city. It's terrible news. But when you consider there's 5 million people living in the city and one person's been murdered in a year, I'm not using this as accurate figures, but I'm just saying you got to look at it relatively. So with the building industry and with one or two really bad builds, look at how many properties new have been built the last 10 years.
There's thousands of new builds, and there's been one or two major, and it puts a big damper on it. And that's where, we almost needed something to make it almost too good.
Yep.
refuse, because one, you've got the market and everything going on at the moment, but then you're right, that stigma will really taint and slow down that market. So it needs a big push. And obviously you've still got the scheme for secondhand properties, which is still the same, but there is a big incentive to buy new. Not to mention, there's just big incentives regardless, which a lot of people don't explore when buying new, Mark. You got depreciation,
huge.
you've got all these incentives to do as well. And even with rent, we see some far greater rental return and a strong rental demand when you're getting a new property as well. So while we've still got a couple of minutes for the show, first homeowners, unfortunately, they're probably going to be part of the most scared group to buy brand new because they do have the inexperience. What are some tips you can give a first home buyer when looking at a new property? Because that's going to be the second challenge. Yes, it's going to be very good to do it, but they're going to be worried about buying the next Opal Towers. What are some tips?
I think most importantly, really be conscious about how many buildings the builder has built. And also go to those buildings that they have built, knock on the doors of those units and ask the occupants after 5:30 at night, ask the occupants, how was the builder on this building? Are you happy with the build? You know, and I can tell you, people will not be shy in telling you the truth. They will blow the builder out of the water if he's been shit, or they will say he's been all right. No one will say they've been a great, builder, yeah. But it's one of those things where we in the Northern Beaches have seen probably 30 new buildings, 40 new buildings go up. And I would dare to say, if you knocked on any of the doors, you'd get raving reviews from the occupants. But I would dare to say that you would get ghastly reviews on probably 5 of them.
Yep.
And average reviews from about 20 of them, and good reviews from 5 of them on a cross section of 30 buildings built on the Northern Beaches. You know, it's a bit like a parking officer. There may be a nice guy in there, and there may be a mean guy in there, but on average, it's a pretty tough gig. Like a parking officer. Anyway,
what I will say on that in the last 2 minutes is, but just be.
Actually,
yes.
Can I just say one thing as well?
Yes.
I went to see a local business person, guys, and you've got to be really passionate about this. He's a well-off business person doing a modest job. He's got 4 kids between the age of 20 to 24. He's done very, very well in property. He told me he was going to wait till February to when the arse drops out of the market so he could take advantage of the new home buyers grant. I said to him, have you got rocks in your head? For $125,000, $25,000 per kid, you can put them all into a 1-bedroom unit for $500,000 today. Why are you waiting? The interest rates, have a look at them. The deposit, 5%. The grant, 0 stamp duty. I said, if I told you this 5 years ago or 15 years ago or 25 years ago, you would have jumped on this opportunity. Now the opportunity is under your bloody nose. You're second guessing it till February. You got rocks in your head. Guess what he said? You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually didn't think of it that way, and you're actually spot on.
And the last thing with defects when you go to these buildings, it's not necessarily, there's always going to be because I was doing a bit of a survey and called on a building we had finished, and now with any new build, there's always a lot of little issues. This tap didn't work, that PowerPoint didn't work. Like when you talk about something major, we're not talking about those things. Now, the 2 things you judge, because there's always going to be little things. There may be a little hole in a pipe and the water doesn't sit right in the bathroom. Like, we're not talking about those little things. There's always this. Like,
you get a brand new Mercedes-Benz, you're going to take it in for a problem, guaranteed.
But the thing is that you've got to judge. One, you've got to separate the little minor teething issues with big issues. Is the response time? Well, I know, especially with Meriton, when there's been a little issue, they're out there like next day fix it, redo it. There's no time. And a lot of people don't give the builders the credit for that, where they will go, oh, we had heaps of issues. But like, go deeper on that. Go, what were they? Oh, that power light didn't work. That didn't work. Well, how long did it take for them to come out? The next day.
Deeper.
Well, okay. Well, that's okay then. Right? There's always going to be that, compared to they didn't waterproof the balcony, because some people make a PowerPoint not working sound as bad as they didn't waterproof the balcony and they never came back. Like when they say, no, bad builder, and go a little deeper, do your research, be an investigator. That's the key we can get, especially with these great incentives to buy new. You need to be the investigator. That's a 15-minute show. Anything else you want to add, Mark? It goes so quick.
Goes so quick. That was fun.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. It will be converted to a podcast, but we'll be back tomorrow morning for the morning minutes. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
See ya. Thanks, legends.
Bye.